Hey guys, it's Ethan. Before we get started with the episode, I just want to let you know that you guys can get one of the bags that we talk about in this episode. Like I just said, it's the Clark and Barba Ethan and Spencer bag. Now the Ethan one is a little bit smaller, and the Spencer one is a little bit bigger. You'll get to know more about them when we discuss them in the episode, as well as the show notes on the blog. Now, if you're interested in getting them in either black, brown, or brown, they are made in the United States, made to order. You can use our discount code SPREZZA, that's SPREZZA, for a 10% off discount. So it's really cool. I mean, you'll have to listen to the whole episode to learn how much we love them. But we stand by them. You probably see it in our Instagram stories all the time. You can check it out for yourself at Clark and Barba. You search them up on Google. There's a blog post about them. That's not a show notes. It's all about how we designed it, how we use it. So we really recommend it, and so we hope you enjoyed the episode, and don't forget to use the discount code SPREZZA, SPREZZA, for that discount code on your Clark and Barba Ethan or Spencer leather tote bag. Let's get into the episode. What's up, y'all? It's the Western edition of
I want to be a cowboy, baby.
a cowboy. We got greenbacks. And,
This is our episode on how to dress like a cowboy without all the stuffiness.
just kidding. It's Style and Direction. You guys know who it is.
It's us
It's me, Ethan,
and me, Spencer.
and today we're gonna be. We kind of take turns discussing various menswear topics, and something that we have been asked to do a little bit more is to kind of talk, more guide stuff that I think we really don't talk about a lot on the blog, or even on the podcast, because it's kind of
We're not
basically
that kind of show.
Yeah, it's not that kind of show.
Yeah.
It's a show where we talk to interesting people, even though we haven't had a guest in like 10 episodes or something.
That's okay.
But today we're gonna be talking about bags, the ones under your eyes, and how to get rid of them. Hemorrhoid cream.
Skincare edition.
There you go. Tiege Hanley.
Yep.
But no, yeah, it's a topic that I guess it makes sense for lots of people, because there's so many videos on YouTube about this topic.
Yep.
How to
And to
look
be
like a
clear, we're
man.
not actually talking about bags under your eyes. We're talking about bags you hold.
Yeah, you can hold the ones under your eyes too, though.
That's a big bag.
Yeah. But let's talk about. Okay, so Spencer, what's your history with bags?
So for as long as I can remember, I've always carried stuff.
Since the dawn of time, mankind has always
Wanted to carry things that they can't fit in their hands.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been using bags for it's been a minute since I started using bags. I mean, I used them a lot during elementary school and preschool to carry around things. And then I really started getting interested in how my bags looked, and I wanted a cool bag.
Well, you got into fashion while you were in high school, though.
Yeah, so in high school, that's when I was like, I don't want to use this like mesh nylon backpack anymore. I want to have something cool. And so my junior and senior year, I switched out backpacks like 3 times trying to find something that was cool. And yeah, since then I've collected. I have a couple vintage military bags. I got a couple bags from my job at J. Crew, and more recently, you and I both had a bag made by Clark and Barba.
Well, we'll get into that later on.
Later.
Yeah. See, it's so interesting because I've known you since high school, since you were in high school, and you already had kind of like you had a style, so you already had an aesthetic that you wanted. I've seen the different bags. Me, on the other hand, I didn't discover anything cool until maybe almost the end of my college career. I, as a kid, I had a rolling backpack until.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I used to think it's like, oh, this is so convenient. Why would anyone not want a rolling backpack?
Why would you? Yeah. Why would you want to? Hurt your back. That's what my parents said too. Like, oh, well, when you're 60 years old, you're gonna be grateful that we got you a rolling backpack.
Yeah.
Until I started in junior high. Um, we actually started taking classes on the high school part of the campus, and that's 2 stories.
Ooh,
So
can't
yeah,
roll
I mean,
upstairs.
so like, say, you're that loser who's like going down like clunk, clunk, clunk down and going up and everything. And, it just, I mean, no offense to people who have rolling backpacks, but it does look a little childish if you have one. So, yeah, like, that's what I had for, like, the longest time. And then when I got to high school, that's when I got, like, that nylon mesh backpack. I remember...
Sorry, I was trying to drink water silently.
I was going to say, maybe MJ can just cut out the parts where you're drinking, but now that I'm addressing it, we're keeping this in.
Oh, gross. It's going to be a bad sound.
Good.
Yep.
Don't get on mic, MJ.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I remember all the cool kids had, like, JanSport backpacks. So I knew, like, even throughout my entire life, like, I was very conscious of, like, style cues. Like, all my nerdy friends had, like, a backpack that was like functional, lots of thick straps so it won't break or whatever, but they weren't cool. And all my all the other people that I not necessarily looked up to, but like all the cool kids would have JanSport. They're kind of thin. They had like patches or stickers on them.
Yep.
And I'm like, why would you this is something that carries your stuff, man? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, because it's like my thing was I always wanted to be 100% committed to the look. So I was like, if I'm dressing vintage, I can't be wearing like a bright red backpack. I need something cool. And so I spent a long time looking for...
You sound cool.
I'm so cool. I'm getting over a cold, so I guess this is what my voice sounds. I'm a cool
This is what my real voice sounds like.
I don't believe in chakras. But anyway, so I wanted to find like a cool vintage backpack, which didn't work out because I wanted a backpack that had compartments in it, and vintage backpacks don't, and I needed something that could carry a laptop. And again, vintage backpacks didn't do that. So I went with like a backpack that I got at Office Depot that looked kind of like it was like a waxed cotton and leather, fake leather, rucksack type thing. Flubber, yeah, it bounced. I put it on my shoes and I did a really good basketball. Like a waxed cotton and fake leather type thing that got the job done. And it had compartments and it looked vintage enough. I still have it in my car that I just kind of use as like a random go bag. But yeah,
when your wife goes into labor.
Exactly, or when I need to run from the cops. I have everything I need in there. But yeah, I mean, that's what I used for the last like 2 years of high school. Then when I went to college, I started using my dad's backpack, which is ironic because in high school I never used it because I was like, oh, it's not going to be big enough to carry all the stuff that I need. And it absolutely was. I think it was the exact same size as the random backpack I got from Office Depot. But his backpack is pretty cool. It's one he got in like the 70s or 80s. And it's like a light tan leather. That's Camel Cigarettes branded, like it was a promotional item.
That's cool.
Yeah, right? I love it. It's awesome. It just has like a little camel logo on the actual, like, on the flap. I love that thing. I still use it. I mean, it's like now when I'm only taking a couple classes, I just mostly carry stuff to class. I don't even need a bag. So, but like when I do need a backpack, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind with bags is that for me, like, the breakthrough was like, I don't have to bring all my books with me. Maybe because it's the nerd in me that would always do that. I'm like, what if they ask you? What if they do like a book check? And no one ever does that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm like, it's got to carry all my stuff before lunch. That way at lunch I can swap them out for the next 4 books. And yeah, you can see I was a huge nerd.
Yeah, it's like I just mostly bring like a notebook to class, and that's about it, because it's like I don't think I've had a class in the last maybe 2 years where the professors are like, okay, make sure you bring the book every day. Like, now I just don't need to really bring much. But we don't just use backpacks for school.
No, we don't. And I think, well, okay, so if we're, if the backpack is like the first thing that you kind of go to because of school, I think the next logical step is the messenger bag.
Yeah, so that's
And
actually
that's what I got when I went to college, like Plankton.
And I think that's what a lot of guys who are getting into fashion start using, because it's
it's cooler.
Yeah, most of the blogs you read are going to be like, gentlemen don't wear backpacks. They wear dapper messenger bags.
Or satchels or whatever.
Yeah, satchels, stuff like that.
I think my first one was like it was like a canvas, olive green, kind of cotton cloth, whatever. It like barely held my laptop. So I'd always have to carry my books in my hand if I had to, like the history class or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like from Urban Outfitters or like it's not Fossil. It's like some cheap-ass French Connection. Some outlet. I don't know. Something like that. And then when I got to college, I swapped that out for... It was like a blue leather one from Collett Spring. And then if you guys don't know what that is, that's like Aldo's like other shop. Okay. And I think there was like spend $100, get 25% off. So I bought like a crappy pair of shoes and the bag, and I got it like $60 or $70 total or something. And that was like my go-to for a long time. And it was, it was pleather. It's definitely super like #menswear, because it's like it's blue base with like a brown like on the edges. Like it's kind of like like Target kind of branding, that whole thing. And then when I knew that at this time it looked the best with business casual or whatever, like my Ben Wyatt outfit for college, right? Yeah. Like you wear with like a gingham shirt and like a skinny striped tie and chinos. And then I think I've always had a messenger bag until very recently. I think the latest one I got was when I went to London. To London and I remember this. And Europe. Yeah, I was like, my dad was like, hey, we should. You only get to bring like 2 carry or whatever, and we were looking at Amazon because we were leaving and we wanted to just use our Amazon account or whatever to get something, and we found a canvas bag that has like leather straps and everything, and it held enough space to hold like a camera, a lens, and whatever, and also like a laptop and like the back part. And it's like from Katie, I think that's like the name. I think my friend Andrew has the same one, like a different color. And
I might have something from that same brand.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the Filson ones or whatever that's most common, for those canvas leather camera bags that most guys tend to use.
But they're very cheap on Amazon.
Yeah, they're like they're like under $30.
Yeah.
And yeah, it got me through, the rain in London and, walking around Paris and everything. And it's kind of what I still take it to work just because it's so, it's so easy. There's lots of pockets. It holds literally everything. And I kind of carry this whole nerd mindset of like, I got to bring everything with me. Oh, yeah. Because I never know what I'm going to like need.
I always like to be over prepared. So I always keep like a bag of toiletries in my car. Like I said, I have like a go bag that has like clothes and stuff like that, like a change of clothes in case I need it. Most of that stuff I haven't worn or looked at or washed since fucking like maybe high school.
Maybe that's something to address.
That is, now that I'm thinking about it, it's absolutely something to address. When you were in high school and college, did you ever know any like briefcase kids? Were you ever in danger of becoming a briefcase kid?
Not really. I think I started watching Frasier at the time, so I knew of the whole story of like Niles and his attaché case in like college or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen like international students have them. But in my experience, most people like if you didn't have a messenger bag, you probably still had like a regular backpack, like even if it was like uncool.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think lots of guys now are very self-conscious about it. Like it's kind of like how they don't want to be caught with a fucking too long of a collar because their internet YouTube guys always say, "Hey, you can't do that." And I think lots of guys now are kind of like, "Oh, what bag am I wearing? Like what vibe am I sending? Because I don't want to look like an immature kid." And I mean, it's true that a backpack does not look good with a suit, and I haven't worn a backpack in like over 6 or 7 years. So I get it, I get where it's coming from. And then Spencer made a whole bunch of show note stuff that you'll see later on when this episode comes out. That kind of bags are definitely a fashion piece.
Yeah, they're exactly. I mean, yeah. It's not something, I mean, it's not maybe not the first thing that people think about when they get into fashion or menswear, but it's definitely an important part of it because, as you were saying, it's like backpacks generally don't, and we're not saying that all backpacks are bad, but backpacks generally don't look good with suits. Like I always see like, you know, guys on campus who have like an internship or work on campus or something like that, and they're wearing like, you know, a suit from H&M, but then they have like a beat up backpack, and I'm like, well, this ruins it. This ruins it.
Yeah. And you see it like in Pity, you know. I think that's kind of what started the whole thing, other than like, you know, upgrading to like a satchel. Like fashion backpacks became a thing. You see the street style stuff from all over, and it's, yeah, guys pay attention to their bags, and I think the biggest one right now, or maybe not right now, but like the last 2 years, was kind of like the minimalistic like leather backpack.
Oh yeah.
That to me it looks kind of like, I mean, I don't like to gender certain pieces of clothing, but it looked like a girl's backpack because I think it's like typically like a little bit smaller, and it's like solid, and it looks like, I feel like I've seen my ex-girlfriends have similar bags, obviously on a much smaller scale, but like it kind of reminds me of that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's I don't like it.
Okay. The other backpacks that are really popular, I mean, it's like there's the what's that like German brand or whatever that's very like 70s like hiking,
like Cal's Fall. I don't know. We should look that up.
Yeah, whatever. That one everyone has. Vintage like Patagonia and North Face bags. When I was doing research for this, those are popping up. Like they're it's the same thing with like everything. There's a lot of 70s influence.
70s and 90s stuff. I know JanSport backpacks are like never gonna go out of.
Yeah.
Out of style.
Hey. So wait. So when you were in high school, what was the trend? One strapping or both?
I always two-strapped it because I knew I didn't want to put too much stress on my shoulders.
Everyone that was cool at my school always one-strapped it.
I think that's what it was for me too.
Yeah.
And it's also because like they never carried their books in their bags anyway. So like they were so cool, and I'm just like, I can't do that when I've got like fucking 30 pounds of books in my backpack along with a laptop.
Is one-strapping backpacks, is that Sprezzatura?
Put a vote in the comments below.
Yeah, we'll do an Instagram poll.
Yeah. But you know, as Spencer and I have kind of gotten, you know, we've graduated from high school, and I've graduated from college now, and you know, we don't necessarily need like a backpack or maybe in some cases a messenger bag anymore.
Yeah.
The coolest thing now is the fucking tote bag.
Oh, tote bags
and
are
I don't know,
hot right now.
Did you in your research look up? I don't know if you guys heard that, but people are sneezing. But I don't know what the history is of the tote bag. I know that you looked it up.
I did. So the tote bag, I mean, like the classic. I mean, where did
the trend come from? Because I don't really know. I know that to me, like before we get to like the history of it, I noticed it first, and I wrote a whole article that we'll link in the show notes. But like it's a very, to me, tote bags were always kind of like the farmer's market bag. Like
exactly.
You go into LA or maybe a flea market, people have tote bags, you know, like the canvas, whatever, like either like a really the casual ones, like they're not really structured, and then also with the more like the LL Bean ones, which are kind of the focus, which we'll get to in a second. But like, yeah, I always thought of it as like a farmer's market bag. I know my mom was kind of cool. My mom's always prided herself on being a cool LA person, so she always had one, like if you went to the market. And then I noticed it like all over New York, like even before we went there last year, like my friends in New York would always just have these like they just had tote bags. Like, that's what they would carry. Like no one had backpacks, no one had messenger bags, they just had fucking tote bags. So what is the history of the tote bag, Spencer?
So I mean, the word tote has been around. That's been around since like
Samuel Tote.
Yep, Samuel Tote, since the 17th century, and it literally just means to carry. But the tote bag, as we know it today, was as far as I can tell, was introduced by LL Bean when they made their ice bag. Which, if you look up pictures of it, which I did, it looks. The design has changed a little bit, but it looks very similar to the one they sell today, especially that their leather tote. That design, it looks like it has remained completely unchanged. In the 60s, they did you could make it like with the color trim. So that's what most of the ones that you see today are.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of those items that it's like, it really hasn't changed. A lot of brands realized that they could make really inexpensive totes and just slap their logo on it, so they started selling that. A lot of brands like, you know, Bryceland's, whatever, they've introduced higher end like leather totes.
But they're you know, I think the key there is that they're always kind of pointing towards the LL Bean aesthetic. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the whole heritage prep ivy.
Yeah, because I mean
thing.
the LL Bean tote looks good with almost every style. Maybe not like dressed up, but yeah, it looks good with prep. It looks good with like heritage, depending on
works
like
with workwear.
Yeah, exactly.
And even the vintage ones, like you can find them, you know, either on eBay or flea markets or whatever, and workwear guys will wear them or use them, you know. And I mean, I've seen even like not just LL Bean ones. Like there's still a lot of cool ones. I personally like the ones that are not LL Bean branded, the vintage ones. I mean, because it's cool to see how other people have co-opted it. Like I've seen a big one. That's has a Costco on it. I'm like, that is kind of fun, and I kind of dig that. But there's just something about it. I know, like the, you know, I have a lot of tech heavy friends, and they're not super into tote bags because, you know, a tote bag is inexpensive. You know, obviously some of the canvas can be tougher than others, but you know, when you're carrying like, you know, expensive gaming stuff or laptops, a
tote bag might not be the best thing because really, it's generally they're like just it's just completely open, like it's just one piece of fabric. So but
I mean it still looks cool for some reason, you know?
And I remember like a couple years ago, like I kept seeing all these articles that it's like, guys, don't use tote bags, they're too girly, which I guess the tide has turned on that.
I mean, it's kind of like the whole hangover thing with the satchel. It's like, go get your purse. It's a satchel. Indiana Jones has one.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
Yeah, so I mean, we both love totes. You have
I know. I think it goes to the whole. I mean, I have this weird philosophy, which I'm sure I'll write about in the future, where like there are just things about menswear that act as accessories and they add to like a look, even though they're not. Like a bucket hat worn with a suit makes a different look than a suit without a bucket hat.
Yeah.
Or as me and Spencer have recently learned, facial hair counts as an accessory that makes things look more casual and dressed down as opposed to being clean shaven. So I mean, having a tote bag like automatically, like if I'm wearing a suit, it doesn't matter if it's a cotton suit or you know, flannel or whatever, if I have a tote bag, I instantly look like, oh, I'm just kind of casually walking around. Like
and especially if it's like one of the LL Bean, like your LL Bean tote that's like what has the bright red on it. That bright pop of color. It's kind of like, it's like the swatch of bags.
It is, and it's interesting. Like obviously I don't bring too much tech stuff with me. It's my LL Bean one, which I'll talk about in a second, is pretty sturdy. But yeah, I like how if I have it, like it's more interesting than my fucking messenger bag. Like it's a point of interest, you know, like a bucket hat or a beard.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, like as soon as I, you know, when we went to New York and I was talking to you know, we went out to dinner and we hung up all the tote bags. Spencer, I think, was the first one out of all of us to have a tote bag because he bought one from his work at J. Crew, which is kind of like this oversized one that kind of folds in on itself at the top, right?
Yeah, it's a giant plain white tote bag, but it's cut the same as like a LL Bean one.
Yeah.
But it's great for the beach, but that on that trip it was like, this bag is too big.
Yeah, but like, you know, a lot of our friends at Drake's had one, and that's how I kind of saw it. Like Matt Woodruff found. I'm not sure if he made one himself or, you know, because I think he actually did, because it says MW, but it's like a cream thread for the font, so then you don't really see it. I know Chase is a big, you know, vintage Ivy kind of guy, so he has like, you know, old vintage totes. And then so I was like, you know what, this is cool. We literally, like, as soon as we hung out with our friend Will, where he got him and his girlfriend a pair of totes, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. So when we got back from New York, I immediately placed an order on the LL Bean website for a custom Boatin' tote, and I got it, like Spencer said. It's red. I put the zip on the top and a side pocket because I like, you know, keeping my stuff secure and making sure stuff doesn't fall out and having just extra pockets and everything. And they had like a sale at the moment, like it was like every purchase like 25% off, so I got it for like $50 instead of like $70,
which is that's probably around the same price as like just a regular tote. Like not
Yeah,
custom.
and it's pretty hefty. Like, I mean, I'm using it more. As we'll learn later, I have like 4 tote bags with, you know. But so I alternate between it. But like, this one's a great size. It's a medium, so it's like, you know, it's just wide enough for a laptop, and it's kind of deep and a little wide, so I can like put like a laptop and a camera in it. Like, say if I'm just gonna go to the coffee shop. And I monogrammed "Oh shoot" on it, which is a reference to a video that I make. You know, Ethan and his references. But yeah, no, it's a cool, like, it's like mine. It's like, I debated on buying a vintage one, but it's also cool to kind of have like one that's made just for you. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I'll have it, and, you know, my kids will have it or something, you know.
Yeah. And as I mentioned before, a lot of brands, you know, they can make their own tote and throw the logo on it. And there's something that's kind of cool about that. Like, I have a couple totes that, like, I got one from fucking like Rasputin Records or something. I'm gonna look this up to make sure I'm getting it right. In Berkeley. Records?
Yeah.
Rasputin Music in Berkeley that made their own tote, and now I get to show people. It's like, oh, this guy went to a cool record shop in Northern California, or like your tote bag from the bloke. So it's just kind of like a way to, like, you know, show this is the kind of things that I like.
Yeah, I mean, the bloke one's really cool. It's kind of like, you know, like it's not a trash bag, but it's so easy for people to kind of just have it. And now that I think about it, I have a bunch of tote bags. The ones that are, again, they're not the, you know, the canvas kind of pursy kind of ones, but they're the more, you know, the throw whatever you want in them.
Yeah.
I got one when the bloke first opened, which is their collaboration with the Groove Merchants, which now I think holds my board games, which is, you know, just ready to go for like family gatherings. And I have one from the bloke that was given when they had their 1-year anniversary. And then I have like one from like Tumblr, which was super cool because I mean, I'm a fandom person. I had a Tumblr back in the day, and it's like, it's kind of fun. Like, it's, you know, it's one way to kind of rep businesses or brands that you like, or that kind of mean something to you. And then, of course, you know, there's ones we'll talk about now. You know, I think Bryceland's, they have a leather tote bag, which is kind of like
it's also based on like the LL Bean leather tote,
but it's taller. You know, it's like it's kind of deep. Kind of reminds me of Spencer's one, which I'm not a huge fan of, just because I don't like to reach. I'd rather have a wide bag instead of a tall bag. You know, wide boy. Okay. But yeah, I mean, leather totes are cool too. I think I actually prefer them because there's more visual age than like canvas.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And you know what I mean?
It just breaks in really nice.
Yeah, and I think what inspired me to look for a leather one was our friend
Cody?
Ryan. No, Ryan. Because Cody has the Bryson's one, which I was not a huge fan of. I mean, I like the design, like the finishing details. I like the handles, but I wasn't a big fan of like how deep it was. Mm-hmm. But Ryan's was like perfect. I mean, he brings his laptop, which I was kind of like, that's kind of weird because it's a big bag, so things will jostle around. You know, don't jostle the pizza. Spider-Man 2, anybody?
I'm not paying for these.
Yeah. But yeah, so he had that, and every time he would bring it around with him, whenever I'd see him, he's a good friend of mine. You know, he'd have everything from his laptop and charger to like comics he has to fold and staple together, to like food, snacks, and a blanket for his dog Harriet. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I would love to not bring around my messenger bag, because as much as I like it, I feel like it's like my work bag. Like, it's not cool. You know, I work at Ascot Chang, so I literally bring the messenger bag in from my car, and I just, you know, it has charge and stuff in it. But if I'm going out to a coffee shop, I really don't want a messenger bag, and I really don't want to put it on my shoulder.
Yeah, because you don't want to have to carry all that stuff with you. You just want.
Yeah, and as we know from the rainy day episode, I hate carrying stuff. As much as I feel like I have to, it's just kind of like, it kind of always happens, because eventually Spencer will ask for a picture, or I'll ask for a picture. I'll edit it right away. Gotta write something, you know. So yeah, I think we both wanted to get like a new, like a leather tote bag, and my canvas one was cool from LL Bean. And that's when Clark and Barba came in, which was super cool.
Yeah, they messaged me on Instagram when he posted. It's like, look, I want a leather tote, and they were like, we could do that.
Yeah, like I think they messaged me right when I placed an order for my LL Bean one, and they were like, hey, we make our stuff here in LA. We're leather makers. We're local business, and we were wondering, if we could work together. For example, what would the Ethan tote bag look like? And I'm like, oh shit. And then when I told Spencer that I was gonna meet with them, I said, hey, why don't you come along so you can meet them? And then we all met up, and then, these people, like, they're, they make their own stuff. They've got their own style and their own bags and everything, but they're very connected, or they're kind of tuned into the whole menswear thing. Mm-hmm. And Silvano Barba is the patriarch, I guess. It's a husband and wife team, and he's met with Kenji. He goes to the bloke. He's met Cody and everything. So he was like, yeah, I like what you guys are doing, and and I like the LL Bean thing. Like, what if we collaborate and we made one? And in the end, we made 2.
Yeah, because we got the prototype, and Ethan thought it was too big. I thought it was just right, and so
it's a regular Goldilocks situation.
Mama Bear, we just decided, well, hey, why don't we just make 2? And that way, we also didn't have to worry about the name because we couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, we were like, what should we call it, the Leviathan? Like,
it's like, shit, that's
like
already taken.
Yeah, it's in Veep, and it's like a regular thing already.
Yeah, so we just made 2, and we're like, there we go. Now we have a Spencer bag and an Ethan bag.
Yeah, so Spencer's was the original dimensions, and then mine was when I asked Silvano to recut it.
Yeah,
and man, I bring this bag everywhere.
Oh,
like,
me
it's
too.
the perfect size.
Even if I don't take it with me, it's always in my car, loaded up with everything I might need.
Yeah, like, I mean, the weird part with me is that I have, I like having different stuff for different occasions. I don't like wearing the same thing every day because I'm a fucking weirdo. But I mean, this is like, it's my go-to, first of all, because I mean, it's bigger than my LL Bean one. Mm-hmm. But I like that because when I go to work now, usually my everyday carry is, I have my messenger bag, and I also have, like, I bring my gym clothes, I bring my lunch, I bring, sometimes I have like an umbrella just in case it rains. And I got tired of, like, I park right behind the store, so it's kind of easy, like, to just leave stuff in my car, but I'd like to, just kind of have it on me just in case I have to go run an errand or something. And so this leather bag was, like, so great. I bought like 4 indigo, like, African indigo blankets that I put at the bottom of each one of my tote bags, and so, like, it acts as like a cushion, which is in the article. And also
just kind of kills space, like, it takes up space.
Yeah, and so, like, yeah, it's perfect. Like, I every day, like, I have my umbrella in there. I have a pair of gloves in case it's cold or it rains. Mm-hmm. I bring my, what do you call it, my Bluetooth speaker, so I can, like, watch stuff on my laptop at work on my lunch break, and I don't have to, like, wear earphones or whatever. Yeah. And then, of course, like, my gym clothes or change of clothes if I'm gonna go, hang out with my friends after and I don't want to wear a suit or something. Mm-hmm. And then we also made the decision to put, like, a flap pocket on the inside. Like, there's a pocket on the outside too, which is kind of like a patch pocket, but on the inside there's, like, a pouch that closes, and that can house, like, your keys and
even just like pens, pencils, stuff like that.
Yeah, and mine's filled with Advil, chargers, and a fan, like my Dapper Day fan for some reason. Like, I found it in my car and I put it back in there because I'm like, oh, in case it gets hot.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, it's like, it's softened up, like, so much over time because, like, Spencer and I literally bring it everywhere. Yeah,
anytime it's like we're in the city or whatever, like, not gonna be in a place where we could just go back to our car and grab it. We always bring it with us. Like, we normally, like, split it so we don't have to both carry matching bags. But,
that's the downside of this one because it's the same. It's the same color and everything.
Let me also say one of the other great upsides is whenever I get compliments on the bag, which, hey, does happen often. I always say, thanks, I made it. It's not, or it's like, I helped design it, or, like, it's my bag.
Yeah.
It's a really fun thing to say.
If we're gonna pause here for a quick ad, you guys can buy this bag. We'll have a link in the show notes. But if you go to Clark and Barba, either on Instagram or on the website itself, you can find it. The Ethan and Spencer bag. They're really cool, and I think if you use code SPREZZA, SPREZZA, you'll get a little discount on those ones.
There you go.
Yeah, so quick plug there. This is not a sponsored episode. This is literally something that we made, and we want to offer it to you guys. So
yeah, we made it.
So after that, I thought I was done with tote bags, and then when I went to the Rose Bowl, I found another one, which I also love.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an old, I don't know how old it is. There's like staining on it, which either could have been made yesterday or it could have been there for years. But it's like a blue boat and tote. It's not LL Bean because there's no label in it, but it's huge. It's like my version of like, Spencer's old bag, where it's like perfect for like the beach or like a picnic or something.
Yeah.
And that one has like 2 side like manila flaps, so like you can put your laptop in those side flaps or whatever. There's also like has an outside pocket, and then there's also like a spot for a collapsible umbrella to go into. So it's really cool. It unfortunately doesn't close because our leather ones have a clasp to kind of make it not just kind of sit open. But it's a cool one, and I bring it every so often. Brought it to like Inspiration because it's kind of a cooler vintage one, and every time I go like a place, like my leather one is more for events. My smaller LL Bean one is more for like the coffee shop, and then the big one's for like if I'm going to go to the beach or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it's cool, and I got it for like $15 or $10 at the Rose Bowl. Which, if you guys live in LA or anywhere close to it, check out those flea markets because you are gonna find a bunch of those.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean they're great if you're someone. I use it probably less than you'd, but that's just because. I mean, I still bring it into work with all the stuff that I might need, but when you actually live in a city where you have to walk around and you can't just keep stuff in your car, totes are incredibly just practical to have. They're just great.
Yeah, I mean it's so easy to grab stuff out of. Like there's not a lot of pockets. If you don't have like loose stuff like pens or whatever, like you can just put everything you want into your tote bag. And
yeah, because it's like what I keep in it now, and this is probably what I would keep in it if I lived in a big city where I had to like bring stuff with me and I couldn't just leave my car. Just like keep an extra jacket on the bottom, 1 to kill space, and 2 if I need it for whatever reason. I always bring like a book or 2. I bring like my water bottle, some like Advil or just like cold gummy, like those like emergency gummies, whatever. And chargers, and that's about it. And
I mean it's like it's been our thing. Like every time we go on a trip, we just have tote bags.
Yeah.
So it really like when I went to Seattle with my ex-girlfriend, or even when we went to SF, it held my laptop in it as well as all my other all my other accoutrements.
Yeah.
And then when we got to like our Airbnb, I would just it's a lighter bag because now I just need it for like chargers and my camera, and I just leave the bigger stuff in the room or whatever.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean it's great, and I think it's kind of like the most superior bag. I know Frank Clegg makes probably one of the other best ones other than Bryceland's. Leather is kind of like what you kind of upgrade to when you get older or more established, and it looks dressier than a canvas one.
Yeah.
And like we also said, like the leather will age and get a cool patina, and like even if you hit a rock with it, it'll look cool because you'll get that.
It adds character.
That lived-in feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
For menswear, that's kind of like the main thing that you have, unless you want to do the whole cross bag thing.
Yeah, which we can talk a little bit about. I don't think it's either of our styles. If you're listening to the podcast, it's probably not what you're into. But I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing that it's like kind of like you're wearing a fanny pack, but not 100% committing to the look. It's
literally wearing a fanny pack across your chest.
That's it.
Like a bandolier, like your Chewbacca or something.
Yeah. Or C-3PO.
Oh yeah. Spoilers, guys. Did you guys check out the leaked? Okay.
The leaked
first of all, it's not an official poster. It is a retail poster, like something you'd see in Target. Okay, so it's for marketing. It's not the actual fucking, whatever. Come on, guys. Don't be stupid.
But I mean, I've seen people use it. I forgot which of my friends uses a fanny pack. I think Jeremiah does, but like he can pull it off. It's kind of like a dad look, which I'm not unopposed to. You know, like you wear it with like a loop collar shirt and like some short shorts with like sneakers. And I think that kind of adds to that whole 90s aesthetic.
Yeah, going back to pre-fashion, Spencer, I did use a fanny pack when I was a Boy Scout, and on camping trips I always had a fanny pack with me.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a utility belt of sorts, right? Like you put like medicine and a pocket knife, I guess, if you want to. But and you see that I've seen it, like, you know, in more tech wear, menswear meets, you know, each other kind of thing. But typically, I mean, there's also that whole like Manila trend or like that folio trend,
which we had on our Facebook, or on a Facebook group. I think we had someone point that out. They're like, why is everyone just carrying around these folios like at Pity? Because it's like, they're not really bags, they just kind of hold your papers and your laptop and you just carry it around with you. It's like a briefcase without the handles.
And I said, like, maybe that's the point. Like, I mean, Pity, as much as it is a fashion gathering thing for people just to take pictures, people still do work at Pity. Like, it's still a legitimate trade show. Yeah. I mean, obviously there are going to be guys who are there just for the peacocking, but, you know, the more and more I get into this whole menswear thing, and Spencer does too, like, we recognize the same guys, like, oh, that's not just a peacock, that's a guy literally that works for this store. This store,
yeah.
Or he is a designer, you know, and he's got all that kind of stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool how we become less of assholes the more we learn more about people. Who would have thunk?
Exactly. But yeah, folios, I don't own one. I don't believe you do.
Okay, so when I was in my whole, like, college time, career, whatever you want to call it, you know, for interviews, I would have a folio. I wouldn't bring my laptop with me, but I bought a folio. Either my dad already had one or something, like, you know, some random one. But it would always have like a legal pad on the inside, bunch of different sleeves, which I'd put like copies of resumes, business cards, whatever, and like a calculator spot, or you know, a bunch of stuff for pens, you know. And so if I went on to an interview, or went to like not a business meeting, what do you call it, like a job fair, I would have that, because I felt like that was a little bit more interesting than having my like a fucking backpack, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks more.
But nowadays, I'd probably just bring a tote bag, and then I'd put like the folio inside of it or something.
And so when people are like, hey bitch, where's your folio? You're just like,
just pull it out.
2 health bars.
Whip it out. Yeah. But that's kind of like, yeah. So I mean, it works for some people. Again, I'm the guy who grew up carrying like 4 like heavy textbooks with him, because that's what you're supposed to do before lunch. You're supposed to have it all just in case. And so I don't personally do it, but if you're that minimal and you really trust your laptop to not die on you, or if you're smart and you just buy a bunch of chargers and you leave them everywhere you go, then I guess a folio works. I mean,
yeah,
they usually have like a hand grab area, so like when you hold on to it, you know, it's more secure, like a sleeve or like a gauntlet strap, I think, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's what other bags are there? I know that, like,
I mean, we could talk a little bit about
I mean, dye workwear and put this on and a bunch of other stuff. Heddles, they always talk about bags like all the time.
Yeah, which is where I got most of these articles from. We could talk about like, so where like vintage bags, going more into that. So where I get most of my bags is I just go to either vintage stores or military surplus stores and stuff like that. And
rucksack, military rucksack bags.
Yeah, exactly. That's where most of mine come from.
Medicinal bags.
Yep. So one that I have, I found this out today, that this is the kind of bag I have. It's called a musset bag, I believe. And so it's just like a really simple bag. It's pretty small.
Yeah.
And it's nice just because it has a little pouch on the outside. I use that when I if I'm ever covering something for a school newspaper or whatever. And it's perfect because it can fit a couple notebooks, and the side pouch is the perfect size for a tape recorder. And so that's what I use. excuse me. That's what I use for that. We have our friend Doug, who recently went to a couple different vintage like warehouse sales, and he picked up a lot of vintage military bags. A lot of them are pretty cool. They're like duffel bags, some smaller bags. I know we can go back more into like, satchels, Indiana Jones. He just uses a vintage like a World War II gas mask bag, I think, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, if we were gonna go back to the whole backpack thing, I think like a military backpack would be kind of sick, like canvas, leather. I don't know the specific model stuff, but I feel like that's kind of interesting. Kind of like, I mean, it's the whole like Japanese hiker workwear aesthetic that's kind of like the cool thing to do when you're into menswear, but you don't want to wear like a suit all the time. I feel like that's the way to go.
And what's great is a lot of these. I mean, you can get these like really cheap because they made so many bags. Let me tell you, they made so many bags. What
character are you workshopping?
I don't know, the guy from the Midwest that loves bags. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bags out there, buddy.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
And then Doug just recently picked up an LL Bean rough out one, so it's like the suede.
Oh yeah, that thing is beautiful. I love that.
Suede bags, right? It's kind of like the texture, I guess, of canvas, kind of, got like a rougher texture than straight leather, but you get the leather aspect that it kind of ages over time as well.
Yeah,
so that's kind of cool. But I think if we were gonna conclude this now, tote bags are kind of the way to go.
Yeah, that's what we would recommend because again, they're so cheap. Everyone has them. I mean, they look cool. And they go with almost everything.
Yeah, I mean, I keep my bloke one in my car in case I ever go to like the Target and I buy things too much like that I can't really carry. Although I usually go to Target to buy like one thing, like deodorant, and I just hold it on the way out. Sometimes I just forget that I have a tote bag because I'm never there to buy like a whole bunch of shit, But it's nice to like, maybe not the, like I said, like not the LL Bean structured boat and totes, but if your local library or your local bookstore, you grab them, if they have like a donate $5, you get a free tote bag. Like those are still cool that you can just kind of have wherever you want them to be, and the cool part for me also is that I bring the tote bags to the Rose Bowl or flea markets because the leather one is still kind of too dressy for whatever I'm wearing to it, and then I feel like I can just stuff a lot more into my canvas ones. Like
I mean that's when I bring my like oversized white one. When we go to flea markets because there's a lot of room, and if I just bring like a couple things in it, I could fit a lot of clothes in that bad boy.
Yeah.
I talked about like when we were in New York, I felt like that was too big, but then there were a couple times when we went shopping and I'm like, no, I need more room in this because
you gotta pick it for the right things, Yeah. Like I think when I went to Seattle with my ex, I had my tote bag and me and her kind of put stuff into the bag, like our water bottles and everything, my camera, an umbrella because it's fucking Seattle. Yeah. Just in case. And then I found 1941 dated Esquire magazines. And they were they're in like rough condition, so they were kind of like in the whole plaster with like a cardboard backing or whatever from this bookstore. And I'm like, I fucking wish my bag was bigger because now it's like I can't really hold it correctly because now I've got like a fucking book sticking out of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they really come in handy. I mean, I would have hated to like have a messenger bag and then have to hold those Esquire magazines in my hand the rest of my fucking day, So yeah, tote bags are cool, and you should check them out. We'd love if you got the leather one if you guys want to. I mean, they're
please.
Yeah, it's super affordable. You could read my whole write up about them. They're made in the United States by Silvano and his wife. So it's like it's kind of cool to support like a local business and also to support us if you would like to support us because we don't have a Patreon yet. Give us a message, if you think that we should do it, and
let us know what we should do on the Patreon because
I don't know what extra content that we could offer you guys. I mean, we could film the podcast and you could like watch it,
I mean, that would be mostly like I would just be fiddling around with stuff on my desk and staring off into space when I'm not talking, but
yeah,
maybe people are into that.
Do we want to people who like us tend to want us to do more things. So.
Do we want to recommend where people could get bags? We mentioned a couple brands already, but
yeah, other than Clark and Barba, I mean, I really like the LLB and Make Your Own Tote thing that they do.
Yeah.
I got the medium. I think the medium is like the perfect size because I think that if you want to get a bigger one, you should go vintage. And wait till there's like a sale on like your purchase because that's the great way to get one at that price because it's really like $50 for a custom one. You know, as I've been moving into the whole menswear in my menswear journey, I tend to like newer things than I did before. Just because I don't have to worry about it, and I can just be like, oh, I can break this in myself.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, you can try that.
Filson makes pretty great bags. They're kind of like a meme, but I mean, they do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, camera bags especially.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the classic, like canvas and leather, kind of rugged looking bag. If you could get your hands on one of those, that's great. I want to mention
try eBay for used ones if you can.
Yep. I want to mention Troubadour Goods, which is a brand that it's not. I won a contest over the summer, and I got a free backpack from them, and it's a little bit more sleek and modern than I would normally wear, but it's a great bag. I'm very grateful that I won the contest. And I still use it. I still use it to like just carry random stuff around. But yeah, they're pretty nice. We already mentioned Bryceland's. Alfred Dunhill is mentioned by Simon Crompton as the finest bag makers in the world. So check them out. They're a little brand. I bet nobody's heard of them before.
I think that's it because I'm not really that into. Well, maybe I'm just ignorant. I don't have a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, bags are one of those things where it's like, we did just.
You have one, and you're kind of good.
Yeah, we literally just did an entire episode about it, but still, normally I'm like, I'd rather spend my money on something else. One more thing, if you are looking for vintage bags, like military bags, I'd stick with older ones, like from Vietnam or World War II, because otherwise, I don't know, when I see guys with like modern military bags, I always get kind of like neckbeard vibes, so I'm not into that. Stick with older, like it depends. I guess it depends on the bag, but it's like maybe it's just because I don't like modern military surplus in general, but stick with like older stuff because then you're also probably going to get actual cotton canvas and stuff like that, or
like ripstop stuff.
Yeah, not synthetic materials.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not that versed in the bags. I know Spencer's been into this thing for like longer than I have, as you heard about his high school thing. You know, like I said, I didn't get a mess direct till like basically college, and then, but I think that'll do it for this one, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully this gives you a lot to think about. If you guys are making the upgrade or whatever to a tote bag or a leather bag, again, read the show notes on the blog. We'll have a link in the description of this episode so you can see all the stuff that Spencer's researched, maybe some examples, maybe some bad pictures of us in college or high school. I'm sure I have a picture of me in a backpack somewhere.
I don't think I have a picture of me in a backpack anywhere.
I have a whole folder on Imgur called Old Ethan, which I went through my old Tumblr. I made it private, but I made sure to save all my outfits or as much as I could find.
Okay, so you'll find something fun.
I'm sure I'll find something. I'm pretty sure I had like a rucksack like inspired bag that I got from like Forever 21 or something. That kind of was like it was like a zip top, like a tote bag, but then it would fold on itself and you would you would latch it with like a leather latch or a clasp or something. It sounds cool, but it wasn't cool, guys. So I was trying to be cool. It kind of reminds me of a story of when I saw guys wearing desert boots, but I didn't know what they were called, and I was like, they're like suede, they're like boots, but they're not super high. What is it?
What the heck is this? And they discovered MFA, and you were like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh man. But that's the subject for another time.
Yeah.
So do we have any last things? I mean, again, you guys, please give us a review on iTunes or wherever, specifically iTunes. And if you give us a fun review, we will probably read it. If we have more than just two. That was done by Josh and our friend Matthew. But then again, you can also follow us on Instagram. Mine is Ethan M. Wong.
I'm Spencer DSO.
And I really recommend that you guys look at the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I am rewatching it for like the 5th time now. I just got Hulu Plus or whatever because Spotify Premium has it with it, and I love Brooklyn Nine. It is so good. Like, it is, same guy who helped make The Office and Parks and Rec and The Good Place. So it's the comedy is top notch. That's my plug.
Okay, if we're going back to our old style of plugs.
Yeah.
I just watched a documentary on Hulu also that's called Too Funny to Fail, and it's about the Dana Carvey show. That was a fascinating look into. That was just it was a great documentary. I had never really seen much of the Dana Carvey show before, but now I am a big fan.
Not gonna do it.
I'm a big fan, and I'm really sad that it got canceled. But check it out.
The Master of Disguise will live on in our hearts and minds.
Yep, exactly. It was all God. Just mastered. No, if you don't want to watch an entire documentary, go on YouTube and search specifically Grandma Clown 2, which was a sketch on the Dana Carvey show that the first time I saw it, I cried laughing.
So take our word for it, because we are arbiters of comedy, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, didn't we say that when we were putting this on Spotify, finally, for some random reason, took us so long? But didn't you put it in, like, improvisational
Yeah, because
comedy?
it makes you choose, like, 3 topics and then 3 subtopics for each one of those things. So I was like, I don't know, education, like, arts and culture, and then comedy, and I did improv. Like, why not?
Yes, and, guys, come on now.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, guys. Hopefully, if you guys stayed this long, which, we actually track how long people, like, the average listening time, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys don't make it to the end.
That's okay.
It's okay. We appreciate all of you.
Yep.
So we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.